Okay, this is another series, another episode of the series called "Should You Stay or Go in a Marriage or Relationship?" All right. Without further ado, they're gonna talk about it. Of course, as they go along, we give my commentary. Let's begin.
This is Couples Court with the Cutlers.
This is the case of Hall versus Rosignol. You all are engaged. You met at a house party, but now your house is in complete disarray because of allegations of cheating. Mr. Hall, tell me why you brought your case.
Well, I have a lot of suspicions that she's been cheating on me I would think, for about a year.
And if you find out she is...
Hey, let me say this real quick before they continue. When you're in a relationship with someone, or even married or engaged, or whatever the case may be, if you are having really doubts or having suspicions with the person that they're doing these things, then that should let you know that maybe it's time to move on from this person. Now, usually in these cases here, when it comes to the court cases, it's usually the woman bringing her man to court to see if he's messing around, to see if he's cheating and stuff. But as we see in this case, it's the man who's bringing his woman to see if she's being honest and truthful, to see if she's actually cheating and messing around on him. All right, let's continue.
Cheating, what's going to happen with your relationship?
I think the best thing to do is to separate.
So you're going to be done?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Rosano, why are you here?
First of all, let me just back this train on up just a little bit, okay?
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, beep, beep, beep is right. Every day for the past entire year, I have been accused nonstop. You know the definition of insanity? It's literally asking the same question over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
And let me also say this before she continues. When you're in a relationship with a person, you gotta have trust for the person. And if you're accusing a person and you can't trust them, obviously you shouldn't be with them. And then obviously also as a sign of insecurity. That means something that you gotta be, as a person has to work on. Both a man and a woman as well. You can't be in a relationship with someone if you have insecure issues, and especially accusing them of stuff, because sometimes a person might not be messing around, but you keep accusing them, they might just turn and go and mess around. They'll say, well, since he believes I'm messing around, I might as well. Or she might say, well, if he or she or he, says that he believes that she's messing around, she might as well do it. And also, same with the woman. She's telling her man, accusing him that he's messing around. Then he might say, oh, well, she believes I'm messing around. I might as well do it. So you can't, to really have a real strong, firm relationship, you cannot be having insecure issues and always accusing them. Okay, let's continue.
As soon as I hit the door at the house, it's, have you been alone? Have you used the bathroom at my mom's house? I can't use the bathroom by myself.
So you've been living like this for a year?
A year.
I think that's its own insanity right there.
Right.
And the judge is right. That is insanity that when you've been with a person for a year and you're going through this drama, that says a lot about her as well, too. That means she must be really a really patient person. Might be even a little desperate, because I know some people wouldn't tolerate that, especially some women wouldn't tolerate that, going through that drama like that with a person, especially for a whole year. All right, let's continue.
Right.
So since you've been living that way, what are you here to prove today?
That I'm not cheating on him and that I love him.
And you still love him in spite of all this?
Despite everything, I love him to death. I would give my last breath for him.
I hear the pain that you've been going through in your voice. Tell him about that.
I'm so sick of it. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't deal with constantly being accused of sleeping with everyone every day.
And let me say this too, before we continue. That's another thing that a lot of women do. So one women does, You know, when they come under a lot of stress or being stressful, a lot of women will have a tendency to break down emotionally and break down and cry like she's doing here. And sometimes they doing that because they really are really hurt or really feel emotional, or sometimes they doing that, just for sympathy as well too. All right, let's continue.
I go to work for us. I come home for us. I do dishes, I cook, I clean, I take care of the animals, I take care of you, I do your laundry, I do everything for you. And it hurts my heart that
Let me say this too. Um, Now she named all the stuff that she does, which is really good because a lot of women don't do these things. When you gotta, she sounds like for what she's saying, it's a pretty good woman. That is a sign of a good woman. When you got a woman that comes home, she cleans, she cooks for you, she washes your clothes, and does things like that. So that is a real sign of a good woman. So if you got a woman who does those things and stuff for you and stuff, that is a good sign. That is a sign to let you know, fellas, that it is a sign of a good woman. Because you got some relationships where women won't even boil a pot of water for you. Won't even pick up your clothes. Won't wash your clothes. Won't clean. Won't do none of these things. So you have, like I say, so it's very rare that you find women today that wouldn't do these things. So if a woman is doing these type of things, it's a sign that shows she's a pretty good woman, that she really must really have love for you and care about you. Something to really think about. All right, let's continue.
you constantly hurt me.
Kind of what we have here is complete turmoil. She is in her feelings and hurt because he's accusing her, and he's saying, I don't want to do it, but I can't help myself. I got all these signs, and I can't help but ask you over and over and over again the same question.
Yeah, I get that. Let me ask this. What was it like in the beginning when you two met?
Oh, man, it was great. We met at a party. We hit it off. I was looking at her from the room away, like, dang, she's beautiful. And we were.
Were you scared to go over? Or you just stepped right to her.
I stepped right to her.
Oh, look at that.
I just stepped right to her.
And look at the smile to go with it.
But we hit it off. A few months later, we moved in with each other, and
once you got to.
Let me say this too. Now, usually when you first meet a person, you get to know a person, dating and everything. If you want to move in with a person after a few months, okay. But my suggestion is that you should at least date a person. You have your own place, and she has her own place as well. Maybe for at least I'd say maybe a good year or so, at least at the minimum, before you decide to start. Before y'all decide to move in with each other. I think the man and woman should at least date for at least a year, a minimum. Before they decide to move in together. All right, let's continue.
Noah, what did you like about her?
she's my angel, man. She made my life better. I didn't have nothing. I didn't have my own house. I didn't have my own car. I didn't even have a license. I didn't even have a job. She literally made me do everything. I've got my own house now. I got my own car. She's
made you a better man.
Got my own job. Yeah.
And let me say this too. That is a sign of also another sign of a pretty good woman too. That if you are down on your luck, you, like he said, he didn't have his car, didn't have a car, didn't have his license, didn't have his own place, and she helped him get on feet, and that's good. That's really, really good. It's a real good sign of a good woman. But also, let me say this as well too. Before really getting serious with her and getting involved with women, you should work on getting yourself together first. Should work on, if you don't have a car, getting yourself a car. Should definitely work on getting your own place and having your own place and stuff before you really get serious with a woman. But it's good though, yeah, if you down on your luck and everything, and a woman really likes you and cares about you, she come along and help you get on feet. That's a sign of a good woman right there. All right, let's continue.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Ragnar, you saw something across the hall, across the way. What did you see?
His smile. The way he smiled, the way the lights twinkled in his eyes, it's kind of like a little fairy tale at first, It It really was. I fell completely in love with him, completely, from the get-go. You know, I was 3 hours away doing a phone relationship.
So it was a long distance relationship.
Yes, it was. And
And let me say this too, that when you do a long distance relationship and y'all don't live near each other, I might live an hour away, 2 hours, 3 hours away, however far it may be. Communication is definitely going to be key. And you definitely, gotta have, trust the person is being faithful to you and everything. But especially when you're dealing with a long distance relationship. If you don't, deal in a long distance relationship and you feel that, that they're up to something, then obviously you should really be in that long distance relationship. All right, just my thought and perspective on that. Anyway, let's continue.
he definitely, I moved in. He definitely got me.
So what was it like when he asked you to marry?
Magical.
Tell me about that.
I was begging him, I like this ring. I want this ring. Just showing him pictures of rings, kind of throwing hints. Like,
So those are
All right, let me say this too. Sometimes, when you get with a woman, she could be a good woman doing stuff for you, but then also it'll get to the point where, she wants, she's going to want more than just a relationship. So you guys got to keep that in mind as well too. That once you get involved with someone, especially y'all move in with each other, after a while, she is going to want more. I mean, you might be one woman that just want to be in just a relationship and might not want to be married. It's usually the older women who's already been married maybe once or twice, and then they don't want to be married, but they're okay with a long-term relationship. But usually, if a woman who's never been married and moves in with someone, eventually, sooner or later, she's probably, most of the time, most women are going to want to settle down and get married. So that's something to really think about, gentlemen. Now, if you don't want to do that, my advice to you is not to move in with them or, get, too serious like that. Especially if you're not ready to take that next step as far as settling down and get married. All right, let's continue.
hints, baby. That's like a rock.
Yeah, so that loud noise he was hearing was all those hints being dropped. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hall, you thought you had found exactly what you were looking for.
Oh, yes, sir.
But now you believe your future wife is cheating on you.
Yes, sir.
Tell me why.
We were sitting there. She was doing dishes and cooking, and I was browning some meat. And her phone rings, and I pick it up, and I'm like, hello, and there's some dude I've never heard before, never met, and he proceeds to tell me how he's doing all these things to my old lady and how, and
Doing what kind of things to your old lady?
sexual intercourse, your old lady is,
Okay. All right.
Let me say this as well too before we continue. A lot of times that sometimes situations like that happen. A woman usually will have quote unquote male friends, whether it be an ex or whether it be someone from work or whether it just be someone she knew from childhood. And usually when women have male friends, it's usually a few things. It's usually a guy that she used to mess with, a guy she might, she's keeping in tow to possibly mess with if things don't work out with you and her, or either it's just a guy, who's usually is a guy that she usually works, like I say, either she guy that that she's been messing with, might be even messing around with, or either a guy that she might consider messing around with in the future. Just something to think about. But anyway, let's continue.
I appreciate you being respectful. I do.
Oral activity.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. And I was shocked. I didn't believe him. I called him on his and until he started describing the inside of my house. And because I said, I don't
Describe it
believe
how?
you. dude, and he says, I know how your bathroom looks. He started describing my living room, my bathroom, my laundry room, my front porch. When I was looking at her, like, how does he have your number, and how does he know all this?
Well,
Who was this calling, and why is this person able to describe in great detail the inside of your house, let alone the sexual activity with you? Who is this person?
This is actually some dude that is mutual friends with Zachary. Well, his mama takes people in, like takes care of them when they're homeless, when they don't have food, when they don't have anything. She takes care of them. That's the kind of woman she is. So she's brought these people in here that know exactly how this house is.
So you're saying that the people in question, that wasn't because they were with you, sleeping with you, because they've been to the house because of him, or because they know his mother.
All right, let me say this before they continue. In some situations, you will have some guys that like a person and they know they're involved with someone, and they might say that something's going on with them, knowing that they're not, knowing there's nothing going on with them and that person, but they'll just say that just so that you'll get mad and upset, and hopefully that y'all will break up, and then hopefully when y'all break up, then they can slide in or try to move in and see if he can get with her. So that does happen in some cases too. But I'm really wondering why what she's saying is true, that this guy, her mom's lets people in and stuff read the place, then what is the guy doing with her number? But sometimes some women also, they might not want to be with a guy or nothing like that. Some women will, seek attention and validation from other men, even though they might not like them like that, or they don't have no plans on sleeping with them. But sometimes they will use other men for attention and validation as well. So that's something to really think about. Just to let you guys know. Okay, let us continue.
And Ms. Rossino, you deny that you had any kind of sexual activity?
I have no idea.
Mr. Hall, is there anybody in particular you believe that she's cheating with?
I mean, I got messages from exes like, hey, beautiful, how's your morning?
So where did you find these messages?
On her phone.
So they're talking badly about you in the messages?
Bad.
And this is her ex.
And let me say this too. Sometimes that happens too. A lot of times a woman, even though when a woman's in a new relationship, ladies, when you're in a new relationship, all contact with exes need to be cut off. Period. Now, if you're single, that's one thing. But when you're in a relationship, shouldn't be receiving calls. But like I say, women a lot of times do have a tendency of still keeping in contact with an ex and stuff like that. Maybe, not to actually sleep with them, but also for attention and validation. And also she probably might be keeping the ex in tow. So if things don't work out, then she might end up, falling back to and going back with the ex. So giving the ex another chance. Just like I was saying earlier, usually when women keep male friends around, it's usually for seeking attention and validation, or either she was somebody that she used to mess with, or somebody who's, just waiting and told for his opportunity to mess with. So that's something you guys have to, keep an eye, even though women shouldn't be doing that. But that's something that you guys should, keep in mind. You should definitely know. All right, let's continue.
Talking So she is going to her ex, talking badly about her current boyfriend, which is you.
Yeah, and we were just split up at the time.
And you submitted to the court your recollection of what you saw. Hey, beautiful, how was your day? Why are you with him? You can do so much better. He's not good enough for you.
Stuff like that.
When you saw this...
Let me say this too. Just like he said, some guys will do that. They'll back, especially an ex, if he broke up, her and the ex broke up, and then sometimes she moved on to another guy. Sometimes the ex will do stuff like this. All right, let's continue.
What went through your mind?
Ow.
Miss Rosenau, why would you do that?
I'm really getting cut up right now. This man has had lists of girls he has told he cares
But
more
we're not
and
here
more.
about him. We're here about you.
Yeah, let me say this before I continue. See, sometimes that's what happens too, and I'm glad the judge checked her on that because she was talking about why is she doing this or having an ex text her and stuff, and then she tried to deflect and try to say, oh, he got exes and stuff texting him and stuff doing the same thing. But then the judge stopped her in her tracks and checked her and say, hey, no, we're not talking about him right now. We're talking about you. So that's a famous thing that a lot of people like to do, especially women. You know, so a lot of women don't like to be held accountable. And a lot of times when you come after with certain stuff or certain things, they try to deflect. But I'm glad the judge caught that and didn't allow her to do that. All right, let's continue.
And my question to you is, why were you contacting your ex and talking about your fiance to him? That's the question.
Because he talks to me like crap to my face, calls me a whore, calls me fat, calls me names.
Hey, let me say this too, fellas. When you with a woman and everything in y'all relationship, no matter how mad or upset you get, I know you might have disagreements and arguments, but try to be respectful. Try not to be calling her out her names and stuff like that, because when you start start belittling her, manipulating her, and stuff like that, that tends to push her away, and then usually that'll push her back into the arms of her ex, or even push her in the arms of another man as well. And the same thing goes for women too. Women, you got to be able to treat your man with love, kindness, and respect, and can't be talking bad about him, because when you do things like this and like that, another woman, maybe his ex-girlfriend or another new woman or somebody to come along and would do the same thing as well too. And a lot of guys, if you got to go through all this talking bad about her and all this belittling her and everything, then maybe it's like I said, it's time for you to let it go. It's time for you to move on. No need to stay in that situation if you got to go through all that. All right, let's continue.
Constantly.
All right, Mr. Hall, are you calling her fat?
I said that out of anger, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I've never meant them horrible words. People say things they don't mean all the time.
Well, okay, look.
But I really didn't mean that.
Mr. Hall, here's the thing. You cannot say things to your wife, to your future wife, to your girlfriend, that you can't take back. When you say those kinds of things, they're hurtful. Now, we've been together a long time, over 35, almost 36 years. And one of the rules that we have is we never call each other out of our names. I never called her a B word or any other kind of word. You see I'm sitting here, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I've never called anything like that because I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
But you cannot do that. You got to treat her like the queen she is. If you want this woman to be your wife.
Well, I don't know about, now when you're married, you want to treat your woman like a queen, that's fine. But either way, that's, to me, that's irrelevant. But the main thing is you want to treat a person with respect. And if you got to love and care for them and respect them while you're with them. That goes for both the men and the women. And if you're going to be belittling them, call them out their names and stuff, both the men and the women, it's time to let them go. It's time to move on. All right, let's continue.
So, Mr. Hall, do you have any other reasons why you believe your girlfriend is cheating on you?
Yeah, I got a diagram I can show you.
Okay.
Okay, would you step to the diagram, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us what we're looking at.
All right, this is a diagram of our old house.
Okay.
And, we were split up for about maybe a few days, and I wanted to come apologize and get back together and just say how much I'm sorry. I step on the porch, I hear movement, I look in the window, I see a curtain, and it flings, you know what I'm saying? I see it fling. So I'm like, oh, hell no. So I kick the door in. And
just kick the door.
I kick the door in, I run in, and I'm running this way. And boom, here she is, right here, and here I am. And she's like, trying to, it looks like trying to block me, but I'm not thinking about this room, This room I'm not thinking about. So I shoot this way, thinking of old boy's in there, he's going to run through the back in all the woods. That's what I would do. I've done some stupid stuff myself. But
So you run past her.
Run past her to the back door over here, back porch. So I looked all back here. So I come back around to the front, and then I see this white little Toyota pull off on the side of the street.
Now, was it just pulling off like somebody was going to work, or pulling off like somebody's getting out of there?
Pulling off like somebody's getting out of there off the...
All right, let me say this real quick too. Something I neglected to mention just a little while ago, but I just picked up on. That a lot of times when when a person's in a relationship, and usually when they're accusing someone of cheating, not all cases, but in some cases, the person that's accusing the other person cheating is probably the one that's cheating themselves as well. I just thought I would throw that because he did say that he used to do stupid stuff like this too. And another thing, if you shouldn't be messing around, but if you just want to mess around, you don't go to nobody's house, especially if they live together. If a man and woman live together and you are messing around with that lady, don't go to her house. Maybe, bring her to your place or either get her a room or something like that. Because you're asking for trouble when you go to someone's house. And you can seriously get hurt, if not killed. And that's why I've seen a lot of people really get hurt, or even some people are dead and gone because going and messing around with somebody, as going to somebody's house, messing around with them, and they live together. All right, let's continue.
the side of the street.
Okay. So it wasn't parked in front of your house, it was parked on the side
Of
street.
course, yeah, I wouldn't park in front of my house either. And this window right here that I think, oh, buddy, they were in here. Oh, keep in mind, she didn't have, all she had on was panties. As I was coming in there.
Correction, panties and a t-shirt because there was only one AC. It was the middle of summer. You're kidding.
Okay. But,
Did you ever see the guy in on the house property?
ma'am, I was going everywhere. And then,
Checking out.
So
But she's
what did
standing
she
in
say?
her underwear.
yeah.
All right, so what did she do when you kicked the door in? Because I know I would have been jumping like, what?
Yeah, I was fed up with it all. I had broken up with it. I paid for everything for this house. You know, this house was mine. So all of a sudden I hear this bang, bang, you know? And I look out the bathroom and here he comes running down the hallway. So I body slam him against the hallway.
You okay?
Check block him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's going crazy. Like, why are you in my house first?
Let me say this real quick before she continue. If you broke up with him, then why would you even go back to him? You should have just left him alone and kept it moving. You should have even went back to him. But I understand, sometimes in some cases you can do that. You break up with a person and then maybe you want to give them a second chance, see if they change. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But if you give them a second chance and it goes back doing the same thing they was doing before, then you need to let them go and don't look back after the second chance. All right, let's continue.
First of all, I just broke up with you. Anyways, so he starts screaming at me saying that there's this dude in the back bedroom next to the bathroom and I'm blocking the door and he's running out the back porch looking underneath the house, in the woods. I mean, going to the extreme.
So you're convinced that she was cheating?
Yeah.
And you're convinced that it was the guy in the Toyota?
Yeah, white Toyota.
Well, Ms. Rosignol, I see you brought a witness with you.
Yes, I have.
Okay, ma'am, would you stand, please? Right, and for the court record, tell us your name, please.
My name is Leanne Dingler, and I'm Zach's mother.
You're Mr. Hall's mother.
Yes.
All right, let me say this before I continue. Obviously, if she came on her defense, and that's his mother, not her mother, but his mother, which means that she must really like this young lady. She really must, really like her and really trust her and believe that she's been truthful and honest, especially to bring her and for her to testify on her, on his girlfriend's behalf. Because usually most mothers would usually testify on their son's behalf and not the girlfriend's behalf, unless they really like her and she really like her and really see something in her. But anyway, just wanted to say that. Okay, well, let's continue.
Mr. Hall's mother, but you're here as a witness for Ms. Rosignol.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's unexpected.
Tell us what you know about this relationship.
It's been a mess for a long time. They've been at each each other for a long time about this cheating thing. Is Jordan cheating? No, she's not cheating.
That was what
She is always with either me, another family member, or with Zach. She doesn't have an opportunity to cheat. And I've tried to get him to think about it sensibly. You know, if you just think about it sensibly, there's no room to cheat. But, I mean, he's got...
Let me say this. And now, maybe she probably is right. Maybe it's, what she said is right. But if a person wants to cheat, they'll make time or they'll make room to find a way to cheat. So even though she could be around her boyfriend, can be around you and other family members all the time, but if they really want to mess around or something, they can find a way to do it. Trust and believe that. All right, let's continue.
He's got to know that, so even though you're my son, you've got to get your stuff together. You've got a good girl, and she's not going to be here forever if you keep doing this to her.
All right, thank you, Miss Danielle.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I think we have enough testimony, love.
All right, what we got? Talk to me.
Okay, Mr. Hall claims he received a phone call from an unknown man claiming that Ms. Rossignol is in fact having sex with other guys. He found text messages between her and her ex downplaying him. And then Mr. Hall claims he caught her. He caught Ms. Rossignol helping her lover get out of the house.
And she denies all of that.
She denies all of it.
So Mr. Hall said if he finds out that she's cheating, then the relationship is going to be over.
That's right.
Well, this court has done a full and complete investigation. At this time, the court will call licensed polygraph examiner and former special agent to the FBI, Kendall Scholl, to determine, is she cheating? All people's court, Mr. Scholl, into the courtroom. Kendall Scholl.